I'm Dan Powers Emoji, and you're watching Rugby Wrap Up.
Next on Rugby Wrap Up, Australia rugby legend turned LA Giltinis general manager, Adam Freier. Rugby Wrap Up brought to you in part by The Pig and Whistle, the world's best rugby pub. The Murphy Kennedy Group, founded with the idea that construction can be done better. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Rugby Wrap Up. Matt McCarthy in Midtown Manhattan talking rugby to a very, very well-known rugby personality on the other side of the globe in Australia. Sir, how do you pronounce your last name?
Freier Tuck, like Adam Freier. And people, if they had seen me play football, I actually have a Freier Tuck as well. So I don't get the Freier Tuck as a nickname. Got another nickname that will stick. It's stuck for many a year, but Freier's fine. You can call me Adam. You can call me Hass. Whatever you want.
I kid, because a lot, there are people out there that obviously are going to know who you are, Adam, but they're not going to know why you're here in America. But it's Adam Freier, ladies and gentlemen, and he's not just buff model type. He's also been a correspondent, or a pundit rather, for the Sydney Morning Herald, and contributor on the ABC Offsiders program. Am I right so far?
Yeah, look, I've had an interesting career. Of course, played for many years, but then sort of discovered the media and rubbed shoulders with you, of course, at World Cups and international test matches. So my background is communications, and I've always been quite passionate about the media, but then fell into a marketing role, which then turned into a digital role, which turned into an executive role at Rugby Australia. And then, an opportunity came along, and you can see from, the badge on my chest to represent a new club in the MLR. And look, I'm super humbled, incredibly honoured, thrilled, and excited about the opportunity of bringing, I wouldn't say rugby to America, but elevating the sport. Like, it's just there. And, Los Angeles is just an incredible city, and we look forward to representing it well.
25 caps with the Wallabies. Is that right, Adam?
That's right, but I'm certainly not here to promote myself.
Well, that's my job. That's my job. 80,
No.
80 caps with the Waratahs, 6 with Brumbies, 16 or 6 with the Rebels?
Yeah, look, I'm very fortunate to be able to play, over 100 Super Games and, an opportunity to play for Australia at a young age, over about 8 or 9 years. And, I look back on those memories fondly. And the best thing about it is a lot of the dynamic that we're bringing into LA. Stephen Hoiles is a former teammate of mine, assistant coach, but still going, Matty. I've got my last couple of weeks, I play for a club here in Sydney called Randwick, where our team is through to the elimination final this weekend. So at 40, I can't give it up, but I hear divorces are expensive. So I've chosen to retire and last couple of weeks, and hopefully playing a grand final. But, my career is, I represented, 3 super clubs and the Wallabies, but, my heart has always been at my hometown club of Randwick in Sydney. And many rugby listeners would know that that's a, historic club. And, I've had 21 years there. And,
is that like the Galloping Greens, or is that the Union Cup?
That's the Galloping Greens. Galloping Greens. Certainly no Gallop in this Oz Hooker anymore. So, the boots are up. And when a front row forward has to wear moulded boots, Matt, it's time to give it up. So I'm in moulded boots because I can't wear the screw-ins because my feet hurt too much. So it's time this weekend. And look, I've got to.
You hookers, you don't stop. Already for the shoot shield, right?
Yeah. So
why not come out of retirement for the MLR shield?
No, it won't happen. And as I said, divorces are expensive. My wife's been very patient. No, I've got to listen to her. But look, I've had great memories. And mate, to be honest, coming back and playing community sport, and I call it village rugby, and I think that's what we're going to be representing really well in LA, is that there's so much more to offer. And there is professional players that can go out and earn a lot of money. Just because you stop getting paid money to play the game, it doesn't put you into a sort of a basket of saying that you can't play anymore. I've learned so much coming back and coming out of retirement and playing club rugby for the last 5 years. And I'm hoping many older players will do it. Not only does it give them a stimulus, it just provides so much for the community. And I've done my time. I'm done now, and I'm looking forward to seeing those molded boots getting very dusty in the cupboard.
So we're going to put the rumors to rest as far as what you're saying about you and Hoiles coming out of retirement to play with Corbisiero and Bryce Campbell.
No, Alex. Well, I've seen Alex train at the moment. He is fit. There is absolutely no way. There'd have to be a hooker pandemic of huge proportions. You would argue that football, soccer is another one, but you could keep playing, and just the relationships and the dynamic of our sport. I'm sitting next to a kid that I'm playing with the other day, whose father taught me at school. I'm playing against another player, former teammate's son, and you can continue those relationships, and you can walk into a club at 35 and be slow, and there's a position for you. You can be 40 and fat, and there's a position for you. You can be 18 skinny and fast, and that's the magic of rugby. So, I put you in the skinny and slow bit. I don't know where that fits in your sort of.
I'm more like a fat skinny guy right now because I'm pandemically soft. I've been trying to jog.
Right. No, I'm serious when I say, and that's you'll get to know me of being around the MLR, and I'm very passionate about the values of the game, and there's a certain magic that our sport can bring no other can.
You, sir, are a son of a rugby leaguer, if I'm not mistaken. I got to ask you, is it going to be the Panther Punks or is it going to be the Storm to win this one?
Yeah, I think everyone in Australia has some rugby league DNA. Look, I like the Storm, and I think they're a real legacy, and they've got players in there that have been around for a long time, very well coached. But I had 3 years in Melbourne playing for the Melbourne Rebels and also working there, obviously there for 5, but playing for 3. I've got a special place in my heart for that city who's done it really tough during COVID. So I'm Storm all the way. I'd love to see them win it.
How about Cats or Richmond, AFL?
That's another real one. Like Richmond have been, primed. They've been one of the best AFL clubs of the last 5 years. I'd like to see Geelong win it. I think they're a sort of one-team town. Incredible pedigree and DNA, and they're sort of like a bit of an unsung hero and an underdog. I'd like to see them win it. So, for mine, and Richmond and Melbourne Storm pretty much train out of the same centre. So, for security purposes, let's try and split that party up and have Geelong win it.
First question about the Giltinis is the one that some people have the concern and complain about the name of the team and its association with alcohol.
Yeah, well, straight off the bat. And look, I have to say, Matt, I appreciate your support on the show. I watch many episodes or most, and I think there's 2 different ways of looking at it. And one, you need to look at the commercial reasons, and there are so many sports associated with whether it's alcohol and things of that nature. But the elevation of our brand is somewhat different. But look, I do appreciate many people's support because it's not always negative. But look, my feel on this is if you go through Japan, there's clubs playing as tractors and cars and scotch in Centauri. So, and the element of the Giltinis and that brand is that it's going to be one that's going to grow over time, but also it's one that's going to have a sustainable model to continue to build this club. Now, we are going to introduce in the not too distant future some incredible programs associated with LA Rugby. Like there's a youth and development program around the corner. We're going to introduce new teams. So this one brand is not going to represent the city. We're going to have, I think what is going to represent the city is the style of footy we play, the entertainment that we're bringing on the park, and also the players that are going to make up this squad. And we've got, I think, 33 out of the 35 positions signed. We will start to announce those players November 1. There's no point us announcing. You mean like players.
Bryce Campbell playing for the Ohio Aviators suspiciously?
No, I'm not included.
Are you telling me I'm wrong?
But look, it's a fair question, but it's also, we're an entertainment brand. We're in the entertainment industry, and we're going to make a really incredibly unique, fun, innovative way for families, young fans, old fans, to attend our sport. And it's so important we do so, because if we come in as a rugby team and do rugby things, we're going to get lost in the static of Los Angeles, which I argue is the sporting capital of the world with the amount of teams and the economy they have. The Giltinis will have their place. And look, we will. It will take time, but I'm certainly proud of it. But I'm also going to be. I've got to reinforce this, Matt, is that I want our fans to be proud of the players that are going to be representing us, the type of entertainment we're bringing, and again, there is an element of the sustainable model which we're trying to do to ensure that not only the Giltinis can take the pitch every night, but we can continue to invest in the community and grow the community and have, and elevate Santa Monica and have Belmont Shore be able to fly into their teams and, and have more clubs built in Los Angeles. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about putting an entertaining rugby product on the field. You've got to have sustainable community. And our motto is not to go in and just bring in internationals. We want to capture 14, 16, 18-year-olds to represent the Eagles or be playing for Canada. So, and this is the model we're going to do it. And we're going to do it with a bit of fun and a bit of sprinkle of magic. And I'm sure our fans will appreciate the squad we're putting together and the entertainment we'll put on the pitch.
So the short answer is the name is going to stick, right? And I have said on this show, I thought it was marketing genius for the Gilgronis and the Giltinis. I'm not one of those, and I think and I'm going to get crap for this again, but, across American sports, we have the Milwaukee Brewers playing at Miller Park. Nobody's got a problem with that. And I can name a whole bunch of others. I've done it before. You guys could Google it if you want to give me crap. But, all right, so I'm not one of those that has a problem with the name. You do have to pierce the market. You're in a tough market. You're in Los Angeles. And that name, I think, and the merchandising will go over with a big LA crowd. LA's like that. It's Hollywood, man. So that's one thing. What about – here's the other uncomfortable question. There are people that wonder if – because Adam Gilchrist, who is a mystery man that I want to get on this show, him owning two teams will just mean players getting shuttled back and forth, or the potential for players getting shuttled back and forth. Address that.
Yeah, it's a fair question because it sounds in practice that would be easy to do, but it isn't. The MLR is set up in a way where their contracting system, and full marks to the MLR, they've got an incredible system in their HR department where their contract system, it's ironclad. Now, I am good friends with Sam Harris, their head coach of Austin. I played rugby with him since, I was 19, and Mark Gerard, and I've actually played against a lot of the players that are going there. There's absolutely no way we could share those players. Now, if in any element, if there is a couple of guys training in Sydney that are mates and one's wearing an Austin shirt and one's wearing an LA shirt, sure they're going to be training together, but that's the extent of it. And I don't.
Or maybe in a tournament like the Tens World Series, where we just spoke with a couple of those guys.
Yeah, and look, there is simply no way that would happen, and there is no way that there'll be any players moving to and fro. And look, when Austin take the field, our job's to tear them down, and we're going to be building a rich rivalry with them. That's just not going to happen. And not only is it not going to happen because it's against the sort of, I'm going to say, the moral grounds of who I am, and I know what the coach is like, and certainly Darren about sharing players, it just can't from an MLR point of view. So there's absolutely no way that we will be players will be crossing in and out. We'll be doing the opposite. Instead of crossing in and out, we'll be trying to run over. So that's our goal. That's our motive. And, we're looking forward to playing them. We're playing them twice this year. And, we'll be wanting to win both.
Yeah. So who does Adam root for in that
question. Yeah, it's a good question. You'll have to get him on the show and ask him.
That's going to be question number one for him. I mean, I would love to have that problem.
The type of, not to go, but I think, and I don't want this to sound corny, Matt, but I think at the end of the day, I think what any owner wants to see is the fans in the crowd smiling, mums and dads with their kids, good quality rugby on the pitch. And I think it's a real credit to the owners and the GMs of this league that I've met most of, been on calls with. They've done an incredible job to elevate this competition and this sport during a really challenging time. So I think, I don't want to sound corny, but the motive is around rewarding our fans. And if the fan experience is great, if a player or a young family or a 14-year-old kid can go to a game, experience it, he buys a jersey or she buys a jersey, that's a DNA strand that carries into next generation. So I think we've just got to be thinking fan first and entertainment first. And I think results become secondary. But I know certainly my motive is smiling faces in the crowd.
All right, Adam, hold that thought because we have to take a quick break. But we will be right back, ladies and gentlemen, with Mr. Adam Freier of the LA Giltinis right after this.
I've been blind since I was 4. And I've never seen a beer commercial or a beer label. None of that stuff influences me. I drink beer because of the taste. And my beer is Pabst Blue Ribbon. It has the taste and the flavor.
What do you think's on the label?
I think there's a naked woman riding on a unicorn, jumping over fire. Oh, that's good beer.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
And we are back. Matt McCarthy in Midtown Manhattan. Adam Freier in Australia. Let's get to the team. And your role is GM?
Yeah, that's right. So my role is a bit of everything at the moment, but we've had some quality signings, and I think the best thing you can do is get off to good starters by naming your coaches. I've been in and around the club for the last probably since May, working in the background. Stephen Hoiles, who's a very much in demand coach here in Australia, and he was coaching the Australian Sevens team, but considered a real sporting personality more than a coach. And I know I upset him sometimes when I said to him that you're a far better coach than you are a media personality. He thinks he's pretty good at the media, but he is. He was obviously a Wallaby, a Brumbies captain, and a Super Rugby championship player. So he brings winning DNA to the club. And then you've got another head coach who we've appointed in Darren Coleman. Now, Darren is a name that not many people would know, very reserved on camera, great guy, great coach. And, he would be, before he signed
it's
with
always
LA,
those guys that are reserved on camera you have to watch out for.
No, but he's a quality guy. And the best thing about Darren is he was, before signing with LA, I would have thought he was probably the most in-demand coach that hadn't signed. And for us to nail him in Sydney Club Rugby, regarded as the, if not one of the best coaches, Super Rugby clubs chasing his signature, and he wanted to start something new, something fresh. So you've got a really tight-knit DNA there. And, I've been coached by Darren before, and I've obviously played with Stephen. So you automatically bring a new culture. But the next part of the, and as I was saying before, we've got, 33 players to announce from November. Support staff is what we're looking at now. We have S&C, we've got a team manager that we're chasing down, and we really want to bring not just an Australian team and just bring it to LA. Like we're out and out looking for US talent on the field, but also off the field, because we know energy like yourself and people that come on your show. It's important to have the fabric of the city as part of your organisation. So my job is to pull that together, win some games, and as I say, have plenty of mums and dads with their kids and families and parties for the adults in the car park. From a rugby perspective.
So with the idea that you go with what you know, can we expect that there'll be a lot of Australian players coming on? Yeah,
look, I think so. I think the expectation should be that, but and looking through the squad before I got on the call, it's not all about Australia. We will have an international team, but also we'll be represented incredibly well by US talent. And the other thing I think what the MLR has done and will continue to do, there is so much US talent out there, whether it be in Australia or in Europe. It's about bringing them closer to an environment for them to become Eagles. And, I've said this many a time, is our motive isn't just to go over there and pluck players from around the world. We want to be able to see, high quality US players playing for our club, year 3, 4, 5, and bringing them through. And that's where we're going to have to invest in our youth and development program, which is not too far around the corner, around how do we bring these players through? How do I put a shirt on a kid at 14 that's aspirational about putting an LA shirt or an Eagles shirt when they're 16 and 18? That DNA carries through, not just from the footy point of view, but a generation of the fans. So we will have Australian players. We will have South African players. We'll have Scottish players. We'll have US, Canadians. But our US talent is going to be prime, and we're pretty proud of the squad we've put together. And I'm certainly looking forward to showcasing that. And November is going to be a month that we're going to own, and our fans are going to be pretty pumped, I think.
Can you give us any hints as to any players that are already on the roster that haven't been announced?
Look, there's already been some people that have jumped the queue. A couple of Colorado players have sort of alluded to the fact that they're coming along. Let me just say...
is one named White?
I don't know. Are you asking me a question?
A player that's coming to you guys? A Colorado player?
Yeah, I don't know. You'll have to get the coach on and ask him.
Okay.
But we look. But the one tip I'll give you is that it's a sprinkle of everything. Like, we've got some. So
are you the one that's signing players? Are you going out? Is that what your role is?
It's a collective of us. But my job is to communicate with them. But the other thing is, Matt, is that there has been such an incredible interest the other way. Like, I'm not chasing. Our club is not chasing players, and I think that's really respected the city and the competition, where kids are coming to us, agents are coming to us with lists, and not only just lists of internationals that want to come out to NLR and if they're finishing off their careers or in the middle of their careers, but it's actually, here's a list of US players, here's a list of Canadian players, here's a list of players that could qualify for a World Cup. So that's a good thing for US rugby. And I do, the only tip I can give you is that there's a sprinkle of young, a bit old.
Well, I'm dying here. Come on, you got to give me something. Give me something.
Well, we've got 2 World Series Sevens players.
Cecil Africa?
No, well, yeah, we've got 2 of those. And let's say that 2 of our players have played in a few World Cups. So, it'll look. As
killing
I said,
me. You're absolutely killing me.
I'm going to come on the cellar. No, but look, I'll conclude by saying is that my role was always to put a team together that our city will be proud of, win, lose or draw. And the DNA of this club and the people that we're recruiting aren't just players that do well on the park. They're good culture builders. They're great in the community, and they have to tick a certain DNA to be part of the club. And for us, I call it a club where many sports call it franchises. A franchise is a Krispy Kreme donut. You can buy them and plonk them anywhere, where a club is a community and a village it's surrounded by. Now, if our players aren't part of that fabric of the rugby community, and wow, the foundations that are in place now, and I mentioned Belmont Shore, Santa Monica, there's such a thirst and such a great foundation for us to build on. And we're here to make those clubs stronger as well. So the players that we'll pick will fit that build, and we'll be out there in the community supporting them.
How many foreign players spots do you have? Because it changes from team to team. Do you have 10, 12, 11? What do you have?
We traded some of our foreign spots, and I listened to your podcast on the draft. And if anyone's listening now, go back and rewind it, because you had, I remember you may have had the Dallas GM on, but there's different ways of running that draft. And we weren't in a position to understand the US market better than anyone on the ground. So we traded up our draft picks and we were able to get those foreign spots, which I think was the right decision at the time. But seeing the draft and something that talent coming through, I was sort of sitting there with the coach going, gee, did we give up that many draft picks? We've got more internationals, but not by a lot. But again, how you trade draft picks and how it works, it's a bit of a sport in itself. But I think we've had to do that day one, and that's just to build the foundations up. But our APC playing list are all locals, and we'd love to see them elevate into those international spots. And as I said at the top of the call, our motive is to make US rugby stronger, not to continue to bring internationals out year on year. We'd like to see that come back.
Well, the other thing that I've been saying that hasn't been exactly popular, along with the liking of the branding, is that I'm not against foreign players coming in here and playing on rosters, because we quite frankly don't have enough quality USA players And the USA players that do get on these teams, if you have even 2 and 3 and you have 15 teams or 14 teams or 13 teams across the MLR, and 2 or 3 Americans are starting on those teams, you've already got 30 players that are playing with other very good rugby players going into the USA Rugby pool that we haven't had before. So isn't that better than having 15 USA players that aren't ready for professional rugby on any level all playing, and the fans having to watch that product?
Yeah, look, it's interesting how you position that, because I tend to, fans are passionate, and coming from different clubs in Australia, where Melbourne is not historically the Melbourne Rebels, and Super Rugby is not historically a rugby town, and they brought in sort of players like myself that had played 100 games elsewhere to build that club up. Now, very self-sustainable. They've got a local competition that's thriving. And even the Brumbies are a marquee rugby brand around the world. They've got their own rugby competition around the city, which isn't as strong as Sydney, but still people come in there. But they just
I have a Brumbies hat.
Yeah, I'm sure. I've got to get you a Giltinis hat. That's the only way you get good press on this show. Look, I don't disagree with the fans because they're loyal and passionate. But I appreciate and understand that if we can bring in those internationals to elevate it up even more, you don't want to turn it into an IPL in what cricket does in India. But look, even if you look at the NBA right now, the NBA, say 10 years ago, I wouldn't even say 20 years ago, 10 years ago, certainly there's been a movement, but there's a lot of foreign talent coming through. It becomes an international competition. The day it actually makes USA rugby weaker is the day you address it. And as you said before, if we've got a player that's played 50 tests for their country with an 18-year-old kid that needs that experience, you can't tell me that that's not right for that 18-year-old kid and player. And as I said, as soon as it's counterproductive into the development of USA rugby, it should be addressed, but I don't think it is at the moment, because as you say, we need to elevate those players up, and we want, as I said, the MLR is here to be an entertaining, fun, vibrant brand to make both Canadian and USA rugby stronger.
All right, Adam, I am reading into a hint that I think you just threw out. You're Australian. You threw out 50 caps. There was a famous Australian rugby player that may or may not be out there that had a rule named after him, the Matt Giteau rule with the 50 caps. You can go back and play with the Wallabies. Is he on the radar for you guys? I think he is.
Yeah, well, he's certainly played more than 50.
But look, they allowed him to come back, right? Because instead of banishing players forever, countries. You've got the rule right. That's one thing. We're agreeing that he's coming to the Giltinis.
Oh no, I'm agreeing that the Giteau law is what you say there.
That I had you.
No. But look, I agree with you, but I also can understand what the fans are saying as well, Matt. They're passionate about their teams and their tribes and their community, but I think the MLR's got the number right.
What's the style of the team going to be? That's your final question. Is it going to be like a Super Rugby squad spinning the ball, or is it going to be like what we used to call here in the NFL an NFL East grinded out team? What do you think? Yeah,
look, I think it'll be incredibly. It will be a Super Rugby style of play. Our coach Darren Coleman is quite structured in the way he plays, and Stephen Hoiles is regarded as an incredible breakdown coach. So if you do have the ability, and I'm pretty sure the world would be able to tap into some of the Shoot, Shield and Super Rugby content online. Very fast, very dynamic, and very structured. But the real energy is going to be in the stands, and it's going to be the entertainment that we're going to bring off the park. So I know winning rugby does that, but we want to see as many people in pink shirts, blue shirts, cheering on their team. And I say, smiles in the crowd is what I'm certainly going to be proud of, and elevating the rugby community. So with those three things combined, it doesn't matter how you play on the field. Without the other two, it just doesn't work.
Well, I'm certainly excited about this, and I know a whole bunch of people can't wait for the Giltinis to take the pitch, even if they're going to scoff at the name or harumph, but it'll get eyeballs, and that's the idea, right? I think that's a big part of the idea. But on that note, we are out of time, sir, so I want to thank you for getting up early in Australia to accommodate our schedule here in New York, and on behalf of Mr. Adam Freier, I'm Matt McCarthy in New York for Rugby Wrap-Up, signing off.